it's a self-feeding system. I walked into court after I got in trouble in that parking garage for that fucking parking barrier, and I walked in there really believing
what happened?
All
right,
long story.
Okay. It's basically the parking garage. I was in the CVP parking garage. The meter was stuck. Like I watched a guy in front of me. He put his card in, and it got stuck. And he was like, dude, I don't know what to do. It was like 2 a.m. I was leaving the bar, and I'm behind him. And I'm like, well, fuck that. Like that guy. You know, he's stuck. His card is jammed in the machine. The gate's not opening. No, basically, I went down to the bottom floor, and I got the guy in my car to go out, lift it up, and I just drove under because it's like I'm not gonna take the chance of putting my car in there because I went up to the guy and I started pressing the call button and shit, and nobody was responding. I wasn't even sure if it was working. So I was like, okay, like there's nobody here to fix this, but yet they have the gate down. Like, what am I supposed to do? So I just fucking went down there. Yeah. Am I supposed to stay here?
Yeah,
I just lifted it up and drove under. I didn't even think I broke it. I got hit for malicious destruction. And this is the big thing. Malicious destruction, it wasn't just destruction of property. It was malicious destruction, implying that I did it maliciously. Maliciously meaning I did it with the expressed purpose of trying to break the thing.
Right. Oh my God.
First of all, I didn't even lift it. That's a technicality. It doesn't even matter. But second of all, I clearly lifted it to get the fuck out of there when nobody was there to do it for me.
Right.
So anyway, I go to court and I'm thinking, like, I have a case. I have a real case. Like, I watched Good Will Hunting 6 times. I'm ready to go. Fucking went in there and I'm arguing my case. And I went to the law library like 3 days before. Got all the pertinent cases to cite. And I'm sitting there with cases. And everybody on the court, I sat there and it's literally just like an assembly line. I was the last case because I was the only fucking case that was like, I was actually pleading a case. Everybody else just kind of goes in there and just pleads guilty.
Yeah.
Like, that's just what you're supposed to do. That's just what you're supposed to do. You go there, you say, I'm guilty. They give you some bullshit fine or some bullshit whatever. And then you go home and you're like, I won't do that again.
Well, they didn't want to go to the library like you did.
Yeah, I was like, fuck this.
Right.
Fuck this. The guy went up, one of the guys went up to me, the state's attorney, and she was like, look, we're going to offer you a stint. If you plead guilty, you're just going to have to pay $180 in restitution to the owner of the garage, and then you're going to do 60 hours of community service. And I was like, I'm not fucking taking that stint.
Fuck.
I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that stint. I'm not guilty. I'm not going to say I'm guilty for you.
Sure.
And so she was like,
wow.
Really? Okay. And so she went back and I heard her talking to the other defense attorney and he was like, really? He fucking declined the stint? Are you fucking kidding me, man? Now, fuck this. Like, this is how they're talking in the room. Like, oh, I'm sorry. Did I fucking make you late for your fucking lunch while you try to fucking give me a criminal record? I apologize.
Right.
I apologize. I'm sorry. So I fucking stand up in front of the court and I fucking plead my case and I'm going off and the bailiff is like sitting there smiling like, damn.
I've never seen this shit before.
I pulled out a fucking legal thing. I was like to cite the case of 1976 where it proves that in order to prosecute, in order to prosecute, and the judge just sits there, and after all that, and I did a cross testimony with the guy, the owner, Nathan Edwards. Fuck him, I'll say it. Nathan Edwards, town parking goes and thing, and I'm sitting there cross examining like, so you have a system set up where if you're trapped in the parking garage at 2 a.m. And you have the gates down, you have high resolution cameras, but if I'm in there and my car gets stuck, what am I supposed to do? Who am I supposed to call? Even if I do manage to get out of the garage, what am I going to do about my card? Like, you have nothing in place. All you have in place is a camera system to catch anybody who lifts the gate.
Motherfuckers trying
that's
to break it.
You have a cement box to manage, dude. There are only 2 moving parts in that whole thing. The 2 meters. That's all you got to manage, dog.
Sure.
That's all you got to manage.
So what happened?
So at the end of all that...
This is crazy interesting.
At the end of all that, she sits down. She's like, Mr. Selesky, I really do... in my heart of hearts, believe that you don't think that you're guilty. And I was like,
true.
Yeah, I don't think I'm guilty. But trust me, I don't need you to sit here in my courtroom and tell me how to prosecute malicious destruction. Because I've prosecuted malicious destruction, and you are guilty of it. Found me guilty of it. You made me pay $180 restitution. And then I'm banned indefinitely from CVP garage. She's like, you're banned from this garage. You're not allowed to go in that garage.
You can't go to CVP?
Not allowed. No, not CVP.
No,
CVP garage. Not allowed to walk inside of it. And I was like,
Yeah.
how long am I banned? And she was like, I don't know. Just don't go back there. I was like, this is a fucking joke. But then I walked out and I'm sitting there. I'm real steaming, fucking piping hot because I'm like, I know my case was right.
Yeah,
and I know I was right.
Service, though.
I didn't have to do that's a fact. I actually wound up better because I still had to pay the $180.
Good for you.
I had to pay the $180.
60 hours of community service.
You kind of won.
Shit.
I traded 60 hours. Well, they also also she gave me a 60-day suspended sentence, which means that if I got convicted of a crime over the next year, and I think I just ended that because that was January of last year, I would go to jail automatically if I got convicted for 60 days.
Right.
Which I was like, that's a little much. That's a little much, I think.
That's how they do it. Fuck you, man.
But anyway,
right.
I remember sitting out there and I was like, this is just ridiculous that it works this way. And I thought, and I was like, you know what? If I didn't go in there and stand there and pay my $220 court fee and go through the system and get a defense attorney and all this stuff, that bitch wouldn't have a job.
Right.
That's her job. She gets her income. Her entire livelihood is funded by us fucking up. If nobody fucked up, she wouldn't have a fucking job. So it's in her best interest to make sure that we keep fucking up.
Yeah.
That's like me being a fucking guy who owns a pizza shop.
She was just out to fucking turn you down.
Well, dude, what she
Because they
did was
understand the game, and we don't.
I feel like because of the way the system's set up, what she did was she took like the humility out of it. It just looked at it as just these
numbers
actions
on it.
Like
on paper,
this plus this equals this, and this is how the law works, and you're going to get this. And, like she took the fact that you were trapped. You know what I mean? Like just
It made
took like the real
it was
humanity
like
out of that
it
shit.
honestly was a lot of bullshit too, because like you subpoenaed like
Yeah.
video footage from
Yeah.
the other security camera
Right,
where the
right,
dude's
right.
card
Yeah.
got stuck, but then they
There were two.
deleted it.
Yeah, there
Wait,
were
what
two.
that other guy do? Did he?
That
just
other
keep his
guy
shit
wound up
there?
lifting the gate as well, and we both got called to court. He
Oh,
wound
wow.
up just pleading guilty and just
Right,
paying
'cause he didn't
whatever.
feel
I was like, fuck that. But what I asked for when they sent me the subpoena
that.
to court, when they told me my court date, the first thing I did was I subpoenaed the oh man, this whole story is fucked up. It's getting me heated.
Yeah.
I went straight to the parking garage, the manager of it, and I said, I want the security footage of the front gate, because the front gate shows me trying to help this other guy pressing the call button, doing all the other shit.
right.
And when they showed up that day, they only showed up with the footage of me leaving. And they said, oh, I'm sorry, our cameras delete after 60 days, so we weren't able to have the other footage. And I'm like, first of all...
you're not winning.
Yeah. But they didn't let me know. They didn't let me know that before I showed up. Like, if I issue a subpoena, it gets stamped by the court and approved. If I show up to a case and they don't bring the evidence that was subpoenaed legally... If that were me that didn't do that, if the court told me you have to bring this on your court date, and I showed up, I was like, man, I'm sorry, didn't do it, I'd be fucked, right? But they do it. Fuck it. Continue.
That's wild.
Go on without 50% of your case, please, so I can just call you guilty and say fuck off. The police officer, I'll say his name too, Officer Hines. He stood up there on the fucking thing with some fuckboy haircut, like the haircut that I had like 5 years ago, like no hair on the sides, long on top, but not like in the cool way, like the fucking, like he looked like fucking the bully from Doug. He looked like the bully from Doug. And he stood up there, and I talked to him on the phone the day after it happened, because it was the day after my birthday. I was fucking around. It was my birthday night. I did that. I talked to him the day after. And he was like, we talked the whole time, and I was like, hey, do me a favor, look on that front camera. Do you have access to the front camera? And he was like, yeah. And he's looking at it, he's like, oh, yeah, it does show you doing that. It does show you, like, helping the other guy. I went into the court that day, and I said, Officer Hines, do you recall the conversation we had where you saw me? He was like, I did not recall that conversation.
Holy fuck.
I was like, you fuck. You piece of shit. He wouldn't shake my hand. He wouldn't acknowledge me. I was like, you are, what did I do to you, dog? What did I fucking do to you?
To get that money, dog.
It's a fucked up system. It made me lose faith, because that was my first time
yeah.
becoming in touch with what that shit really is.
Yeah,
You grow up
bullshit over there.
and you go to U.S. history class and you're like, oh yeah, and there's 3 branches and this is their job and they do this.
And they're all
everyone
looking
does
out
this.
for me.
And then you
They'll
grow up.
help.